Say, did you ever have one of those situations where you come into your repair shop and the car is torn apart, the subcradle's removed from the vehicle, and you need to move that vehicle? Or you just have the suspension removed and you want to move it around the shop and get it to a different location? Well, it makes it kind of difficult. But with us today, we have Doug Smeetsick from DGS Fabrication. Welcome, Doug.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Now, you have some solutions regarding that.
Yeah, we do. We designed a super heavy-duty wheel dolly, but besides just being a heavy-duty wheel dolly itself, we have adapters to fit all sorts of different conditions that you're going to experience in the collision industry.
Now, I see you say adapters, because as I look at the cart here, mainly I see a framework that I've seen in the collision repair industry for a number of years, but you actually say you have attachments that can be used to mount that vehicle securely?
That's correct. Some of the adapters that we have that mount to our dolly system, this one here happens to be a pinch weld adapter. It's designed very much like the frame machine clamps that you see on typical frame machines. It grabs that pinch weld that's on 95% of the cars that were ever produced. The bolts tighten up, pinches the pinch weld, and it secures the car to the dolly so it cannot move and damage the floor.
That sounds really great, but now, if I'm clamping that onto the vehicle, will I cause any damage to the vehicle?
No. One of the things that we've done is we realize that some of these vehicles have cosmoline and undercoating underneath there, so we put some small impressions in the clamp itself. It's not enough to impregnate the paint and damage the corrosion protection, but it's sufficient enough to keep it secure from sliding.
Because the one thing I like is they have the car securely anchored.
Absolutely. One of the big pitfalls is some people are making homemade devices with blocks of wood, all sorts of different things, and when they get into a situation where they're going over some rough areas or maybe hit a clip or something in the shop and this slips out, damage occurs to the floor. And you know as well as I do, we're responsible for that damage. Cycle time gets drastically affected when that happens.
And the customer gets a little upset too because the repair's now been delayed.
Absolutely.
Now, let's say I had the cradle out of the vehicle or the suspension's been removed. Do you have any other attachments that actually hold that car? Because that's one that's common, is the pinch weld. What else do you have?
Well, this particular adapter here, we designed one that is designed for the conventional frame models. Okay. It slips down right inside of our pinch weld adapter. You tighten up the two bolts. It cradles this in there securely. So now you can rest your frame in this. Okay. And if you have suspension completely removed and you want to lay this down onto the frame rail itself, you can move the vehicle around that way.
That's really cool. Now, as I'm looking at this, one thing I'm thinking in my mind is that if I had to replace the full frame of the vehicle, you know, trying to move that bulky, heavy frame,
right,
this looks like it would hold it really well too.
Absolutely. That's one of the issues. More and more, you're aware that we're changing frames out.
We are.
My last year as a body tech, I did about 12 frame swaps. When I first started doing it, it was unheard of to do a frame swap. So this is a very common problem. What's happened is you would have to stop production with the shop, get 10, 12 of your burly guys, pick up the frame if you didn't have the luxury of having a forklift, and stopping production, move that frame to the spot that you hope to do the rest of that repair. With this simple little attachment, we can stick 2 or 3 to 4 of these things underneath the corners of the frame. One guy can move that frame in by himself and keep the shop flowing. You
know, I'm also looking at the size of these dollies too. With the size of the wheels and the bracketry that you've made up here, it usually should hold that frame fairly high enough so I can do all the reassembly of that frame as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. It puts the car in a perfect position to put all the suspension in with the wheels removed, and then when you're done, add the wheels, put the body back on, and keep that repair flowing.
Very cool. Now, what if I had the cradle removed from the vehicle? You know, I want to get that car off my frame machine, or I want to get it off the lift that I might have it on. What do I have as far as attachments for that? I mean, do you have anything for unique cars, or?
Yeah, absolutely, we do. One of the issues that we had were BMW, Porsches, Mercedes-Benz. They've got a very unique rocker panel design. So we were approached by many of these shops, and they said, well, we understand that you have one for the unibody cars, but do you make one that will fit the Porsche, BMW, Audis, and Mercedes-Benz? This happens to be our Mercedes-Benz adapter. It rotates around, so it goes inside of the jack port.
Okay.
Locks in like that, you tighten up the jam nut, and now this becomes part of the car.
Nice.
It slips down inside of our pinch weld adapter. You tighten this down. Now the car is securely mounted to the adapter securely mounted to the dolly. It cannot move and damage the floor.
That's excellent, because a lot of those cars really don't have pinch welds to work with.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to use a saddle clamp because it's really going to damage the bottom side of the car. Excellent,
Absolutely.
Excellent concept.
Now this is exactly how this works. This particular piece that we're looking at here right now was sent to me by Porsche because they're aware of the same situations that Mercedes and BMW are. The bottom of the cars all have this very unique portion that is used to tie the cars down when they're transporting them. So it's very, very strong. It goes down inside there, locks into the adapter, you tighten up the jam nut, and it is now part of the car.
That's great. So now I can get this car off my frame machine. I've got it secured securely to the dollies, and I can move it anywhere I want to in my shop.
Absolutely. Now, Mercedes and BMW have recognized this here just recently, the importance of what we designed. We submitted this to them. We just got approval from BMW and Mercedes-Benz. We're working on Porsche and Audi, and Nissan has just approved us as well.
Now that is excellent, because they must see the value in holding the car securely.
Absolutely.
When they're rolling that car around the business.
Those high-end cars are very much as susceptible to damage as any of the other cars, except the parts are just more expensive to replace.
Okay, so we've got the secured fastening methods, and we talked about that, but you know, one of the things I always run into with the dollies too is how easy it moves. You know, they don't always move around my shop because sometimes I have debris on the floor, I have grates in the middle of my shop, I have air hoses. Typically we don't run over those, but it happens from time to time, and it jams the car up. What do you have for that?
The wheels that we chose for this dolly are a patented urethane wheel. It's a 6-inch wheel. It's got needle bearings inside the axle, so they spin very well. We've got a convex style wheel that we use, so when we need it to change directions, it allows the wheel to change directions much easier, so you don't have to put a lot of pressure on the car. The reason we chose this is typically in the past, these are the type of casters that have been introduced to the wheel dolly market.
I'm noticing a difference in size. That's the first thing I notice.
It allows it to roll over some of the debris in the shop much easier. But the most important part of what we chose with this is we chose a urethane wheel over a hard plastic 4-inch wheel. Especially in the weather that you're experiencing out here, this is what you can expect to see in a very short period of time is wheel failure. And constantly replacing these wheels gets to be somewhat of a pain. We've had these dollies out on the market for going on 5 years now, and out of the 2,000 sets that I've probably sold in the last several years, we've maybe replaced 2 or 3 wheels under warranty, of course.
And you say you have a warranty on the wheels?
Yeah, we're offering a 5-year warranty on this wheel and lifetime on the chassis.
Very cool. Now, this thing does roll really easy. I've had a chance to try it out myself and off camera, and the one thing I was concerned about is when I have uneven floors in my repair facility. You know, if I have a grate in the middle, if it rolls that easy, the car is going to want to lean or go in that direction. So how can I slow this thing up?
Well, when we designed this, we designed that with that in mind. We realized that the dollies roll so well. Keep in mind, Roger, every one of these dollies, the dolly itself is capable of holding over 4,000 pounds.
Okay.
2 of these is 8,000 pounds. It by far exceeds the weight of the vehicle. Maybe we're using 20–25% of the dolly's capability. And what that means is there's a possibility if you have some type of uneven surface, the dollies and the car could get away from you.
Exactly.
So we introduced the brakes to the casters, and the brakes are made so you can actually apply a little bit of pressure or full brake. So if you have an uneven surface, we can actually slow the dolly down or completely lock it and keep it stationary.
Now that's wonderful. I like that feature. So getting back to this thing, what if I have a situation where I'm trying to get the car on my frame equipment? You know, let's say I have to get it up on my Chief, or I have to get it up on my car liner that's, let's say, countersunk into the floor. What have you thought about that? Well,
Car liner, they're in-ground racks, and a couple of their other models, they've got a unique track that goes down that holds their anchoring system. We wanted to make sure that what used to take 8–10 guys to get a vehicle up onto possibly a Chief machine or a car liner machine, we could get it down to maybe 1 or 2 people. Keep the production of the shop flowing. We didn't have to bother these guys. And there's a formula that somebody had figured out that it took 20 minutes or so for that tech to get back to where he was before you bothered him. So imagine, do the math, you get 10 techs.
Exactly.
You're really affecting your cycle time. This particular adapter here was designed to go down in the track on the car liner and cover up that track so we can widen the deck and not have to be so precision in getting it moved up on there.
So Doug, if our viewers want to get more information regarding these cool products, where can they go?
They can go to our website, and we have several other products that we manufacture that are really focused around the lean process. We know that that's a big issue in our industry now.
Yes, it is. Thanks, Doug.
Hey,
appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
All right.